Welcome back to Books with Duddy. We are back with the third and final book, I believe, of the Housemaid trilogy by Freida McFadden. So this will be a spoiler-free review for the third book, The Housemaid is Watching. However, there will be spoilers for the first two books in this review. So if you haven't started the series yet, I recommend you go back, check out my videos for The Housemaid or The Housemaid's Secret, depending on where you're at. But I just wanted to flag that there will be spoilers for the first two books in the series. If you're looking for a spoiler discussion of The Housemaid is Watching, I'll have that video coming out shortly or already out, depending on when you're watching this. But for today, we're going to do a spoiler-free review of The Housemaid is Watching. So with The Housemaid is Watching, we're back with Millie. She is now married to Enzo, and they have two children, one 11, one 9, I think, somewhere around there. But it's obvious quite some time has passed since the second book, The Housemaid's Secret. And Millie and Enzo have just moved into a new house in what seems like a little perfect suburban neighborhood. But we know with the Housemaid books that little illusion is not going to last. And once again, Millie finds herself in some troubles, we'll call it. So I said this when I reviewed The Housemaid's Secret, but the writing style, it's classic Freida, pretty short chapters, pretty fast pace, lots of twists, lots of turns, all of that good stuff is still present in this book. And so, that's one of the things that worked for me, right? I think Freida McFadden is an awesome author. I've really enjoyed the series. I like the way she writes. And, it's more of the same for The Housemaid. Another thing that I really liked about this book is it's another evolution of Millie. We started off when Millie was pretty young, fresh out of prison. And now Millie's married with children who, at least one, is over a decade old. But she still feels like Millie. Just a more mature version of Millie. So I've really liked that throughout, the whole series, just getting to watch Millie almost grow up. And I still don't agree with everything she does. I still think she makes some stupid decisions, bad decisions. But it's Millie. Another thing I liked about this book is the setup, the story setup. It's more set in this suburban neighborhood where you get to know some of her neighbors a little bit more. And it's not just she's just living with a family in a house, or cleaning for a family in a house, and that's pretty much the only people that you really meet throughout the book. You definitely get to meet more people in this book, including, like I said, some of Millie's neighbors. And it's interesting to see Millie's interactions with them and just her normal interactions with society, I guess. Someone that she's not working for. And in typical Millie fashion, she starts to sniff out the red flag. So those are all things that I really liked. There's a couple of things that I didn't like as much, and I'm definitely not tired of Freida's. Well, I shouldn't say that. These are only 3 books I've read by Freida McFadden, but I'm definitely going to read more. But it feels... This book became more predictable, and while I enjoyed more of the same, I'm not necessarily itching for another book in, the Housemaid series. It just feels very formulaic at this point, even though each story has its own twists and turns. It's just very familiar when reading the book. And as per usual, suspension of disbelief is required. But the big thing, and why I think this book is a significant step down from the first two, is the end. The ending makes no sense at all. It's an absolute mess, in my opinion. People are doing and saying things that make no sense at all for the situation. And yeah, obviously this is a spoiler-free review, but the ending of this book just, it was almost shocking because the I enjoyed the the housemaid and the housemaid's secret so much, especially the endings, especially the housemaid ending, that this one was a little jarring that it was so far below the other two, in my opinion, that it was just surprising. Because again, I think with the housemaid and the housemaid's secret, even though the endings weren't perfect, things were tied up in a way that made sense for what happened throughout the story. And that doesn't happen in the housemaid's secret. And it's not plot holes I'm talking about. It's like I said before, it's characters doing things that just don't make sense at all. And that was a big letdown for me. So to get to my rating, as I said before, I think this book is a big step down from the other two books, mostly because of the last third to a quarter of the book. The setup is still great, but the ending just, made no sense to me. So I'm going to give this book a 5.6. But let me know what you all thought in the comments, what your reviews were, if you enjoyed this book as much as the others. But if you've watched this long, I'd certainly appreciate it. And if you could like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that. And I hope to see you soon.